So then what we can go ahead and do is create another print statement right here. So do system.out.println, and we'll go ahead and print out the length for both rect2 and rect3. So we'll take a look at both of them. Okay, so we'll have our system.out.println rect2.getLength, and then system.out.println rect3.getLength. Save that. We'll come over here. We'll compile it. We'll run that, and we see for both of them it's 10. And then the other thing we'll go ahead and do is modify the value of rect2 again. So we're going to do rect2.setLength. We'll again go ahead and change it to 15, and then we'll go ahead and print out both of these again. So we'll go ahead and copy and paste this right here. And we'll go ahead and clear this, compile it, run it again, and we can see we've got 10 for both of them before we change it, and then after we change it, rect2 has been set to 15, but rect3 was unaffected because of the fact that it's two separate objects. So when we modify rect2, we're modifying this object over here, so this length becomes 15, but for rect3, it's its own separate object with its own separate length, which remains 10. Okay. So in addition to being able to set it up this way, as we can see, the basic idea is that whenever we create our two objects, I have to have a separate declaration and construction for rect2, as well as a separate declaration and construction for rect3. And then after I've made both of my objects, then I call the copy method, taking the contents of rect2 or the data inside of rect2 and adding that into rect3, or copying it over. But ideally, I would actually like to come up with a slightly more concise way of doing this by basically handling that right here when I'm constructing rect3. So I want to be able to use this constructor in such a way that I can just go ahead and copy the data from rect2 into rect3 immediately on this line. Okay, so what we can go ahead and do is if we come up here, in addition to our noargs constructor and our parameterized constructor, I want to go ahead and introduce a third type of constructor. So we're going to have a public rectangle, and for this one, what we're going to pass in, instead of not passing in anything or only passing in a set of parameters that are related to the fields of data, I want to go ahead and pass in another rectangle object. So again, I'm going to use the same convention and just call it other rect, similar to what I do for the equals and the copy method. And right here, what we're going to do is effectively the same thing as we do with the parameterized constructor, where we're assigning something to this.length and this.width. And what I want to assign to it are going to be the length and width of this other rectangle. Okay, so one way that I could do that is to just type it out exactly as I have it right here. Alternatively, because this is another constructor method, I can do the same thing that I did for the noargs constructor and just use the this keyword. So I'm just going to do that. So I'm going to say this, and inside of here, I want to pass in the values related to other rect. So we're going to have other rect.length and other rect.width. Okay, so by doing this, we're passing in the length of this other rectangle, effectively copying the length to the object that is being constructed, and then same thing with the width, we're copying this to the object that's being constructed. Okay, so then what we can go ahead and do, come back over here, is instead of using this call to the copy method, we're going to go ahead and comment that out. And right here with rect3, when I make this new rectangle, so when I call the constructor, I'm going to pass in rect2 right here. So now rect2 gets passed in. That's going to be used for this parameter here. So then the length of rect2 and the width of rect2 are going to be used for this call to the parameterized constructor. So now we've got the length and width, the 10 and 5, and we're going to do the assignments right here. Okay. So now if I go ahead and run this and, or if I compile this and run it again, we can see that we get the exact same output. So we still get our 10 for both of them when we've initially done the copying. We see that we've got 15 for rect2's length after we changed it, but rect3 stayed the same. Okay. And this last type of constructor that we created right here that takes another rectangle object, this is going to be what is known as the copy constructor. So this is effectively a constructor that is used to make a copy of another object. So these are the three types of constructors that we have to work with: our no-args constructor, our parameterized constructor, and our copy constructor. Okay, so this is going to complete all of the code that I wanted to go through for the rectangle class, as well as the advanced rectangle demo. Moving forward with the remainder of the videos, going through this set of materials related to more advanced object and class concepts, we'll start taking a look at some other classes and some other programs. In the next video, what I want to take a look at is going to be object aggregation.